sports office on location at the Lobo football office, and that can only mean one thing. We're talking to the head honcho. Head coach Bob Davie, getting ready to start up his second year. You know, well, you're in your second year, but when you guys get out on the field, I guess it'll be official. Lawrence Gilligan here as always. Coach, I guess right out the gate, you know, you guys have been busy recruiting and stuff like that. How's that going?
I think good. You know, I look at this time compared to a year ago, you can't even compare it. We're so much farther along. And I think, you know, I think we gained some credibility. I think even though we didn't win as many games as, you know, we hope to in the future, I think there was a level of credibility gained. And I think right now we have some momentum. I really feel it in recruiting. There's a lot of enthusiasm, I think, for where we can take this program. It's going good. You know, you never know. I mean, it's an inexact science until that signing date. And even after signing date, you don't know for sure until you get them here in August. But so far, so good. I'm excited.
Well, you going into people's homes and stuff like that. I mean, it's Bob Davie now. You know, I know you'll play it down, but we know that that name means something for the success you had coaching, and then you being a broadcaster. How much has that helped as far as name recognition with the kids and the parents too, like that?
You know, I think it has to a degree, and I think I could say the same thing about our entire staff. You know, particularly kind of geographically. You know, we've got a lot of coaches from the state of Texas. We've got a lot of coaches that have a lot of experience. You know, so not just my name and what I've done, but I think more importantly what our assistant coaches have done. You know, I've said this many times, and we've got a great mix of some older coaches with a lot of experience. But yet, last year we were the youngest coaching staff in NCAA football across the board. You know, I think we had 4 or 5 coaches under the age of 30. So we've got a great dynamic of some older guys with experience. I'll let you guys figure out who those older guys are. And then we've got some young guys that I think are some of the best young coaches I've been around. But yeah, we've got some name recognition out there. It's funny because you know, the Notre Dame thing now was a long time ago. So more of the recognition comes from ESPN.
Sure.
And you can see what that does. I mean, just look at the McCarron's girlfriend the other night.
They wouldn't. It's funny because I was going through the film a few days ago, and what he was a fan. He was a fan, to say the least. You know.
I mean, the great thing about Bryant, you know, and he's a good friend of mine, is you really feel like you're with a couple guys sitting on the couch watching the game in the living room, and that's Brent. But back to the point of the power of the media, you know, particularly on a stage like that, you know, so most of the recognition now comes from my relationship with ESPN.
Wow.
Yeah, and I guess just talking about, you know, you had a 4-win season, very successful to what, you know, the past 3 seasons have been like. What do you as a coaching staff, I guess, go through now, you know, being in the off season? You guys, you know, some of those plays, maybe against Air Force or Boise, or, you know, man, that would have really swayed the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You know, I was with Urban Meyer, who coached with me at Notre Dame for 5 years. We were actually at the Fiesta Bowl together and spent a lot of time. And, you know, the obvious thing you do is talk about finish. And you set up a lot of things in the off season where you finish the drill, you finish the workout, you finish the spring practice. You know, but quite honestly, I mean, this upcoming team will be a completely different dynamic than last year's team. You know, last year's team, because we had so many seniors, the situation was different. It was like a lot of guys were finishing out their final chapter.
Sure.
And it was a very fragile football team. We had a lot of issues. This year, it really feels like it's our first year. You know, we're attacking this now with a bunch of young players starting out for the first time. I think we can be a lot more aggressive in the way we practice, the way we do things. You know, our number situation is still pretty low. You know, it'll be another year or 2. But it's kind of a different dynamic on this team because it will be an extremely young team who's just starting, where last year's team was really an accumulation of guys that were in their final chapter and had been through so many negative things. So, you know, last year was a great starting point. I think we've got a little foundation built. I've never been one to sit there and say, boy, look how close we came.
Sure.
You know, but there were probably 5 games, 5 conference games. We had to ball the last series of the game with a chance to win it or tie it. But more importantly than all that, you know, is we've got a little foundation started. I think that we can now really start coaching with the passion and the aggressiveness that we need to do now.
And as far as you talk about last year and building on everything and how you feel like this is kind of really like your first year, are we going to see like more of a aggressive on the offensive side of the ball, like as far as Cole throwing the ball and different things like that? You guys working on him this offseason?
Well, here, you know, honestly, on both sides of the ball, we have to get better with the ball in the air, whether it's throwing the ball or whether it's pass defense, because we were horrendous in both categories. A little bit on offense, it was by design. You know, for us, with the limited numbers of players, with 13 straight weeks schedule, we knew we had to slow the game down. You know, we were second in the nation in time of possession. We weren't a team that could go out there and throw it around a lot. We weren't going to win doing that. That was in nobody's best interest. You know, plus we had Cole and we had BR, and then when BR went down, we weren't going to throw it. And then BR and Cole both go down. So the next step in this program will be throwing the ball a little more efficiently. We're still in an option mode, though. We are not a team that next year is going to throw the ball 25 times a game. You know, maybe 2 years from now, maybe 25 or 30 times, where we become a balanced team. But it's still in our best interest. The way our personnel is, the way our defense is, and the way our quarterback situation is, that we're a run-first, option-style team until we get the overall talent level up on this team. And there's another year of throwing it 12 to 15 times a game. And then on the other side of the ball, we have to completely overhaul our defense. Completely. You know, from everything we do, how we do everything. We weren't very good last year, you know, for a lot of different reasons. But we have to completely overhaul that side of it.
So is that what the main focus is this offseason, is trying to get those guys to develop and maybe bring in some JUCO guys maybe, or guys that are DBs, guys that can adjust quickly? Sure.
We're going to bring in at least 6 defensive backs. You know, I'm not real big on the junior college piece of it. Not that there aren't some great players out there, some great kids. I'm really more interested in building this for the long haul. Obviously, because of the uniqueness of our roster, losing all those seniors, you know, we would like to take a couple older guys that maybe you think can come in and help you a little bit faster. But we're going to build it really for the future and be really smart about how we do things. But yeah, I mean, our secondary, if you had to say right now, is #1 priority. It would be that.
Football drives the bus. Boise State coming back. I mean, when you first heard about that, how happy were you about it, or did it matter to you? I mean, because
well, it's pretty clear. You know, my first instinct was, oh no, we got to go play them again next year. Quite honestly, because I thought we were done with Boise.
Yeah.
But honestly, all kidding aside, it brings stability to this conference. It brings credibility to this conference, having Boise back. You know, I really hope San Diego State comes back, personally, because I think that kind of swings the pendulum on the western side of the United States. We lock that thing down, in my opinion. You know, and now maybe you reach out into Texas, and maybe there's an SMU, a Houston, you know, North Texas. I hope San Diego State comes back, and then, you know, I think we are in a conference that has a lot of stability and can stick together for a long time.
Yeah, and I guess along those sense, I guess, how about the tradition though? And that's got to break your heart though, as a coach, seeing the way the conferences are starting to shift. You know, A&M against Texas isn't really a game anymore. You know, that's always going to be on the schedule that people look forward to. You know, that's got to feel kind of good that maybe the conference here is kind of trying to stick around.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and geographically it makes sense. You know, we've got a lot of teams that are kind of in the same ballpark as far as facilities, talent we can attract. I think it makes sense. But you're right. I mean, on a national level, and I've said this a lot of times, for A&M and Texas not to play. You know, I was at the University of Pittsburgh for 4 or 5 years. For Pitt and Penn State not to play. Pitt and West Virginia. You know, West Virginia, Morgantown's an hour and 20 minutes from Pittsburgh. And Pitt and West Virginia don't play.
Wow.
So you have Pitt not playing Penn State and Pitt not playing West Virginia. That makes absolutely no sense to me.
No sense at all.
You know, so at some point, you know, I understand the value of the the television contracts, which quite honestly, that's driving the whole thing. But we've got to get back to just some common sense, you know, for the good of everybody involved, and, you know, the fans included.
Don't you? Yeah, you hit it right on the head as far as common sense. I think, you know, as long as wisdom is left out of those decisions, they can actually wreck college athletics.
Yeah, I mean, if it becomes simply a matter of putting the best teams together, regardless of geography, just to get the highest TV contract, that's not good for the overall good of this sport. You know, when you think of the families involved and the travel involved, all those things, you know, so agree. I mean, we just need to take a deep breath and some common sense, but it's amazing when you look at the television contracts. You look at the Pac-12 thing they signed, how that changed the dynamic of each university. There's a lot of money on that table, and that's the reality of it.
You guys feel like you're all settled in now, you and the wife, and you know, like as far as you know, because you've been around here for a little while now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more excited now than I was a year ago. Quite honestly, you know, I think this is you know, I went to the basketball game the other night against UNLV, and we need to give our fans the same kind of product that basketball is putting out there. And if we put that same kind of product out, we'll have that same kind of passion.
I think that because, you know, I think people are starving for a champion. I mean,
absolutely. UNM alum, both of us, you know, I think we're both kind of in the same boat.
Right,
you know, so.
Right. And we've you know, that's the bottom line. You know, we've got to give people a reason to have the kind of passion they have when they walk in the pit. So I think we took a start last year just in our style of play. The fact that I think we're a pretty disciplined team. I think we're a hard-nosed team that will become even more hard-nosed as we go forward. And I think we're going to win. You know, and that's the thing that drives me, is just building this thing to be the very best we can be. Because I'm like you, man. I know people are starving around here. And I see it across the road in the pit.
And you know, you guys finishing, when you talked about discipline and all that, you guys finishing so well in the stats. Right. You know, in the top 10 and top 5 and so most
some
of them.
Things,
how much did that help when you got out on the road to talk to players and stuff like that? Because now New Mexico's name is out there, because if they just look at the stats, or if they put those boards up, there's New Mexico. Yeah,
you know, probably the #1 stat is point differential. You know, in other words, the last 3 years, this program had been outscored 41 to 12. That's over a 3-year period, 36 games, 41 to 12. You know, we got that down to about a 4-point differential this year with these close games we played. So we went from 41 to 12 to basically 29-26, the scores of our games.
Wow.
So I think that's the biggest thing. So just point differential per game. We were #1 in the country turning that thing around.
That's unbelievable.
And, you know, so, you know, we took a start. You know, we took a start, and we just have to build on that. Next year, you know, because we lost so many seniors, on paper, we're going to take a step back a little bit. But I don't really feel that, because I just think we can coach so much better now. We can coach so much more aggressive. We're so much farther along. You know, this time last year, man, I was just, it was like a revolving door with guys in and out of this place. You know, so it's fun. You know, I feel like we're heading in the right direction.
How much is it Cole's job to lose? I know it's obviously in the off season. That's hard to even say, and every player earns their spot. But you know, Cole proved his toughness for a true freshman. You know, kid that in high school he could really throw it. You know, and he struggled here. But how do you feel he's starting to come along?
Well, you're exactly right. It's Cole's job to lose. I mean, I've got tremendous respect for him. It's interesting. I mentioned Urban Meyer. We were together, and I had Urban call Cole because Urban had Tim Tebow at Florida, and Tim Tebow is a freshman. I remember Urban telling me this. He said he didn't know if Tim Tebow could be their quarterback moving forward because he just couldn't throw the ball. He played as a freshman some, but they had Chris Leak there, who was their quarterback, who was a thrower, and Tebow came in and just ran the ball. Well, that's really what Cole was for us. It's just we didn't have another quarterback, so Cole had to play the whole game. But, you know, you look at Tebow, left-handed, great leadership qualities, all the intangible things, big, strong guy. I mean, Cole, to me, is a poor man's Tebow. And what he did last year is really amazing. It really is. And I know he didn't throw the ball very well, but that was for a lot of reasons. You know, Cole Gauchi excites me. Now, Cole knows that there's going to be a lot of competition. There's going to be at least 2, probably 3 new quarterbacks on this roster come August. I would say 3 quarterbacks. And that's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
But it is Cole's job. I don't want to say to lose. It's Cole's job to hang on to. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But I've got great respect for him.
Training camp coming up. You guys looking for anything? Well, you got spring football first.
Right.
What are you looking for out of spring? What are you hoping to do with where you say, like, I got stuff accomplished that I want to do?
I think the first thing is I honestly believe we have the best strength coach in the country. I mean, Ben Hilgard is unbelievable. You know, I just left him a little bit ago, and he had all of our seniors that hope to go on and get a chance at the NFL. He's working all of our seniors out on his own right now. So we've got a guy from the moment they come in here as freshmen through after they graduate that's going to be the best thing that could ever happen to these kids. I mean, we got a great strength coach. So all of our players are back Sunday night. We meet Sunday night. Then we go for about 6 to 7 weeks off-season program. And last year's off-season program was really just trying to get guys, quite honestly, in shape enough to start really working at the level they needed to work. Well, this off-season, it's working. I mean, it's a whole different dynamic. So it's off-season, getting bigger and stronger and faster. And then the next phase is after spring break, you know, spring ball. But that's only 15 practices.
Yeah.
You know, more important to me is just getting these guys back. We have every freshman, every new player we brought in. We don't have one ineligible player on this football team right now, which is an unbelievable statistic, quite honestly. There's not one ineligible player. Academically in the fall exceeded what we hoped would happen academically. So there's not a lot of distractions right now. We can focus on getting better.
That's awesome, Coach. Well, thanks. You got anything else to say?
No, it was great.
We
Appreciate
held
your
you
time.
hostage long enough.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate your time.
Lawrence, thank
Appreciate
you, man.
it.
Appreciate
Coach Bob Davie, we're out of here. Lawrence Gilligan to his left there. We'll see you next time.